What if I told you that Fullmetal Alchemist isn't just a story about alchemy and brothers, but about geopolitics, war, and the clash of nations? Behind Edward and Alphonse's journey lies a world built on the rise and fall of empires, each with its own history, culture, and military ambitions. In this video, we're breaking down the nations of Fullmetal Alchemist, from the militaristic superpower of Amestris to the mysterious empire of Xing, to reveal a world that powerfully mirrors our own history of ambition, betrayal, and survival. Let's begin. At the heart of the story is Amestris, the dominant nation, and the land where most of the anime and manga take place. It's a nation modeled after Europe during the Industrial Revolution and the rise of fascist regimes in the early 20th century. The name Amestris is taken from the wife of Xerxes I in the Persian Empire. The most striking feature of Amestris, as we later learn, is its unnatural geography. It's almost a perfect circle. And as with all things in Fullmetal Alchemist, this is not a coincidence. Amestris is a militaristic autocracy ruled by a Führer, King Bradley's, a title dripping with historical resonance, a commander-in-chief who also acts as head of state. On the surface, it looks like a functioning government, but in reality, it's a dictatorship where the military holds absolute power. Parliament exists but has little influence. Since its founding in the 1550s, Amestris's political and economic stability has been connected to conflict. It expands by invading its neighbors, absorbing their land, and forcibly integrating their people into a supposed melting pot. Its capital is Central City, sitting at its exact center. Amestris' continuous expansion mirrors the rise of European empires and Prussia or Germany in particular. Its borders are always secured through aggression. Its military is its lifeblood. The state alchemists aren't just scholars in uniform. They are officially designated human weapons, the pinnacle of a philosophy that twists the pursuit of knowledge into a tool for destruction. This is perfectly, horrifyingly, exemplified by the Ishvalan Civil War, a genocide justified as putting down a rogue province, but which served to create the mass bloodshed and suffering needed for the hidden darker purpose of Father and the homunculi, the ones controlling the nation behind the curtain. The society of Amestris is highly militarized. Civilians live under constant surveillance and propaganda shapes their worldview. This makes Amestris not just a country, but an engine of war. Cities like Central, East City, and Resemble reflect a mix of industrial and rural development. The British Victorian architecture and World War I French military uniforms show that the world is a deliberate pastiche, creating a familiar yet unique setting. Amestris is unmatched in the region. It boasts advanced technology, tanks, firearms, communication networks, and of course, state alchemists, who can level battlefields in an instant is straight from 19th century Britain. Every border conflict ends up feeding into Father's master plan, the creation of a nationwide transmutation circle and to create a nationwide sacrifice. And so, we later learn that the shape of Amestris wasn't drawn by accident, it was alchemically designed. Economically, Amestris thrives on industry and conquest. Its wars are not just about borders, they are about resources, land, and power. In many ways, Amestris is a mirror of Nazi Germany, expansionist, nationalistic, and obsessed with control. At the same time, its emphasis on a powerful military also echoes Imperial Japan. After Grumman takes power, Amestris begins to function closer to a true constitutional republic, marking a transition from dictatorship to reformist governance. This parallels Germany's transformation after World War I, from imperial rule to the Weimar Republic. But to understand the soul of Amestris, we must look at its greatest sin, the genocide of Ishval. Located to the east, Ishval was not just a territory, it was a sovereign nation, a people that suffered one of the darkest tragedies in the series. The Ishvalans are a deeply religious group, easily identified by their dark skin and red eyes. Their belief system is centered on Ishvala, a god who forbade alchemy as an arrogant defiance of the natural order and teaches peace and humility. Their way of life is conservative and spiritual. This is the central ethnic conflict of the series. The Ishvalans' rejection of alchemy, the state's primary source of power and ideology, makes them a problem for the homogenizing, control-obsessed central government. The Ishvalan Civil War began after a series of provocations orchestrated by the homunculi. Their warriors fought bravely with stolen weapons and guerrilla tactics, but against Amestris' army and the state alchemists, they were overwhelmed. Amestris' military crushed Ishval brutally, committing atrocities that left scars on both sides. This war shaped characters like Scar, Riza Hawkeye, Roy Mustang, and even Edward, who grapples with his country's crimes. The Civil War and subsequent extermination campaign are a direct result of the state's inability to tolerate a distinct cultural and religious identity within its borders. The war left Ishval a scorched wasteland and its people scattered, persecuted refugees. More than a victim, the Ishvalans are a symbol. Through Scar, the series explores themes of vengeance, forgiveness, and rebuilding a shattered identity. The Ishvalans mirror real-world persecuted peoples, from Native Americans to Middle Eastern desert tribes, to ethnic and religious groups targeted in genocides. Their story is a reminder of the human cost of nationalism and militarism. But Amestris doesn't exist in a vacuum. Its dominance is defined by how it interacts with its neighbors. To the north lies Drachma, a frozen, militaristic nation. Drachma is often called the large country to the north, and it lives up to its reputation with a massive army and a belligerent foreign policy. Its soldiers are numerous, but often portrayed as foolish or short-sighted, relying on brute force. Its history with Amestris is filled with conflict, wars, border disputes, and eventually, a fragile pact of non-aggression. But as history shows, such treaties rarely last. It functions as a constant, looming threat that justifies Amestris's massive military expenditure and the existence of its most formidable defensive installation, Fort Briggs. Drachma is the embodiment of the external pressure that helps maintain the military's grip on Amestrian society. In 1914, Drachma broke the pact, launching an attack on Briggs Fortress, the northern stronghold of Amestris. The result? A devastating defeat at the hands of the formidable Major General Olivier Mira Armstrong and the Amestrian military, proving that sheer numbers can't outmatch superior strategy and alchemy. Drachma mirrors Russia and the Soviet Union. It's vast, cold, and militarily aggressive, often clashing with its neighbor to the west. Even the broken non-aggression pact parallels the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact between Nazi Germany and the USSR during World War II. The result was a perpetual, bloody stalemate at Fort Briggs, a constant drain on lives and resources that perfectly justified Amestris's massive standing army. To the south lies Aerugo, a land of trade, agriculture, and endless conflict with Amestris. Aerugo is a principality, ruled by Prince Claudio Rico. Compared to Amestris, it's smaller, less militarized, and far more focused on commerce and farmland. Its soldiers wear ornate red uniforms, more ceremonial than practical, and its culture thrives on trade rather than war. But Aerugo has been locked in a long war with Amestris. The fighting began when Amestris seized Fotzet, a border town, and Aerugo responded with overwhelming numbers. But they walked straight into Amestris' trap, and suffered devastating losses. Aerugo also played a controversial role in the Ishvalan civil war, secretly supplying weapons to the Ishvalan resistance, only to later deny them refuge when Amestris began its extermination campaign. If Drachma is a peer, Aerugo is prey. A smaller, prosperous trading nation, based on the merchant states of Italy. A principality system, ornate military uniforms, fertile farmland, and southern European identity all line up. The flag resembling the Byzantine Empire connects to Italy's historical Roman/Byzantine ties. The Aerugo-Amestris War resembles Germany's wars with Italy in both World War I and World War II. In World War I, Italy fought Austria-Hungary, Germany along mountainous southern fronts. In World War II, Italy's weaker industry and fragmented politics made it vulnerable compared to Germany's militarized machine. Aerugo, defending its sovereignty, was drawn into a devastating war of attrition that bled its economy and military dry. Even the name Aerugo is an alchemical term for rust, fitting its role as a decaying power compared to Amestris. And if you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe. Now let's continue. Far to the east, across a vast desert, lies Xing, a nation shrouded in mystery, yet vital to the larger story. The desert acts as a natural barrier, limiting contact and preventing Amestrian expansion. This mirrors real-world China's geographic isolation, separated from the west by deserts, Gobi, Taklamakan, and mountain ranges. Xing is an empire made up of 50 clans, all united under one emperor. To secure his power, the emperor takes a daughter from each clan as a concubine, ensuring blood ties with every ruling family. But this system breeds fierce rivalry, dozens of heirs, each supported by their clan, competing, and even assassinating one another, to inherit the throne. It's a brutal, Darwinian method of succession that consumes the energy of the clans in internal struggle rather than external rebellion against the emperor. This system mirrors the Ottoman Empire, where fratricide among heirs was institutionalized to prevent civil wars, and Swaziland, Eswatini, where the king traditionally unites clans by marrying a daughter from each tribe. The primary goal for many of its emissaries, like Ling Yao, is to find the secret of immortality to gain an advantage in the fierce succession battle back home. This external ambition is what drives them into the heart of Amestris's conflict. Xing's culture is deeply influenced by Eastern traditions. Martial arts, stealth, and weapon mastery define their warriors, while their scholars practice alchemy, a form of alchemy focused on medicine and the flow of qi. Unlike Amestrian alchemy, which is destructive and militaristic, Xing's alchemy is restorative, focused on healing and balance. It's fascinating to note that alchemy was also born from a traveler from Xerxes, the philosopher of the West, who was none other than Hohenheim. Technology-wise, Xing lags behind Amestris in things like automail, but they excel in explosives and unique weaponry. Their warriors, like Ling Yao and Lan Fan, show that discipline, skill, and tradition can rival even the most advanced armies. Xing also mirrors Imperial China, with its emperor, clan system, and medical alchemy, while also borrowing elements from Japanese traditions, like ninja-style assassins and serissure cloth worn by warriors. The succession struggles even resemble the Ottoman Empire's practice of fratricide among heirs. The end of the series marks a tectonic shift in geopolitics. The alliance between the new Führer Grumman, the visionary General Mustang, and the new Emperor Ling Yao is transformative. The railroad is more than a trade route, it is the physical connection of two worlds. It will end centuries of isolation. And the fact that Xing is modeling its new military on the Amestrian system in exchange for ceding the desert and giving Amestris sea access is a momentous deal. It shows Ling Yao's pragmatism, adopting the best of Western military science to secure his reign, and Grumman's shift from military expansion to economic and diplomatic influence. Culturally, Xing is the counterweight to Amestris. If Amestris represents militarism and control, Xing represents knowledge, tradition, and survival through unity of spirit. To understand the shadow player of Amestris, we must look to the past, to the sands of the eastern desert, and the ghost of a nation called Xerxes. Xerxes serves as the foundational myth and the dire warning of the series. Its story is a self-contained tragedy that perfectly illustrates the core themes of Fullmetal Alchemist, the folly of seeking to cheat death, the horrific cost of hubris, and the ultimate betrayal of trust, especially by a creator towards their creation, and vice versa. It is the first draft of Father's plan for Amestris. 400 years before the main story, Xerxes was a thriving, advanced monarchy, a society where intellect could elevate even a slave to the upper echelons. However, this meritocracy existed within a slave-owning society. This creates a complex and contradictory social landscape. It shows that even an enlightened culture can be built on a foundation of oppression. This duality is key to understanding its downfall. A society that practices slavery is already conditioned to view some lives as expendable, which aligns tragically with Father's plan. The ability to build domed temples, large palaces, and sustain a population of over 1 million in a desert speaks to incredible engineering prowess and a thriving agricultural and trade economy. This echoes ancient Mesopotamian and Persian empires. They were a civilization at their peak, which makes their sudden extinction all the more shocking. It was a circular nation, prosperous and peaceful, but its aging king feared one thing above all, death. And into that fear stepped a homunculus, a being of pure intellect. It promised the king immortality through a grand alchemical array that would use the souls of every citizen as fuel. The king agreed, and the people, told they were digging irrigation canals, instead dug their own mass grave. But it was a deception. The array was fashioned around the homunculus and his creator, the slave known as Hohenheim. In an instant, the entire population of over 1 million people was sacrificed, their souls used to create 2 perfect, immortal philosopher's stones. The nation of Xerxes vanished, leaving only 2 survivors and a legacy of utter annihilation. This alludes to the real and magnificent city of Persepolis, who burned to the ground and was left in ruins. Or the trope of a highly advanced society that mysteriously vanished is straight from the Atlantis myth. A curious fact is that Xerxes was the name of the king who ruled the Persian Empire from 486 to 465 BC, his wife was Queen Amestris. This king was murdered by Artabanus, who then gave the position of power to his 7 sons. According to Aristotle, Artabanus was then killed by Artaxerxes, son of Xerxes and Amestris. This draws interesting parallels to the series, where the country of Xerxes was destroyed by Father. Father then created the 7 homunculi, and gave the highest position of power in the country to one of his sons, and the other homunculi watched over the Amestrian cities. It is fitting that Father, like Artabanus, was killed by Edward Elric, with a mother from Amestris, and a father from Xerxes. Like Artaxerxes, Ed avenged the Xerxesian people by dealing the final blow on Father. Xerxes is not just a tragic backstory, it was Father's first successful experiment. And his next project would be on a much, much larger scale. Though less explored in the anime, the manga gives us glimpses of a neighboring nation defined by division to the west of Amestris. Creta is a confederation of states made up of rival tribes united under a central government with a decentralized structure. Instead of being ruled by a single leader, its power is divided among different factions. On paper, it's a union, but in reality, its people remain hostile toward each other, with cultural and ethnic rivalries that never truly went away. This constant infighting has weakened Creta, making it vulnerable to outside threats. Its border wars with Amestris, particularly over Table City and Pendleton, have cost countless lives. Both governments use the local populations as pawns, leaving the borderlands devastated. Creta's political system resembles Switzerland, with its federalist structure and cultural diversity. But its constant tribal rivalries also recall the Balkans and the Austro-Hungarian Empire, small nations with deep divisions that weaken them in the face of stronger neighbors. Creta is a fractured state, a collection of tribes forced into a fragile union, much like the Balkans or the Holy Roman Empire. Its internal divisions make it the perfect target for Amestris's piecemeal expansion. Border disputes in cities like Table City and Pendleton are not about total war, but a slow, grinding absorption. This creates a persistent, low-intensity conflict, supplying the necessary bloodshed along the western arc without the risk of a unified retaliation. Through these manipulated conflicts on all fronts, Father ensured a constant flow of death and suffering to power his growing array, all while the Amestrian military grew ever more powerful, centralizing its control. So, let's look at the full picture. Amestris, a circular state at constant war. Xerxes, the tragic blueprint. Drachma, Aerugo, and Creta, the external pressure valves, their conflicts meticulously managed to provide sacrificial fuel. For centuries, this wasn't a continent of rival nations, it was a single, geopolitical engine of suffering, all orchestrated to elevate one being to godhood. But the system was broken by the very humanity it sought to exploit. Hohenheim, the last son of Xerxes, spent his life planting the souls of his people throughout Amestris as a countermeasure. The new alliances formed by Ling Yao, now Emperor of Xing, and Roy Mustang, the future of a reformed Amestris, built a bridge of cooperation over the desert of isolation. The railroad from Ishval to Xing isn't just a trade route, it's a symbol of a new world, one not built on a foundation of blood. One of Hiromu Arakawa's greatest achievements was creating a world that mirrors our own early 20th century, filled with nationalism, expansionism, ethnic conflict, and technological change. These countries don't just provide a backdrop, they drive the story. Wars, invasions, cultural exchanges, and betrayals all stem from these nations interacting. The world feels alive because it reflects our own history, with all its flaws and conflicts. So when we look at the map of Fullmetal Alchemist, Brotherhood, we see echoes of our own world's history: Germany, Russia, Italy, Switzerland, China, the Middle East. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this breakdown of the countries in Fullmetal Alchemist, Brotherhood, don't forget to like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments, what nation's history did you find the most fascinating, and what other fictional worlds deserve a deep geopolitical dive. Until next time, stay curious.